What happens when a small African nation stands up to the global digital giants and says, enough, not with apologies, not with compromise, but with the full force of its cultural and moral authority? That's exactly what Burkina Faso just did. Under the fearless leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso has done what most of the so-called developed nations won't dare to do. It has banned all adult content websites, completely, unapologetically, and nationwide. This isn't just a ban. It's a declaration of sovereignty, a moral firewall against digital colonialism, a bold reclaiming of African values in a world drowning in pixelated corruption. In a time where the internet is both a tool of empowerment and a weapon of decay, one African nation has drawn the line in the sand, and the world is watching. The government didn't just talk, it acted. Internet providers across the country were ordered to cut off access to pornographic websites, and they did. The goal? To protect children, to restore dignity, and to reset a cultural course that has been steered for too long by forces outside the continent. Captain Traoré has made it clear, Burkina Faso will not be a playground for global tech companies profiting off of African trauma and addiction. This isn't about censorship, it's about self-respect, it's about choosing healing over harm, and it's about time. Let's not pretend that adult content is harmless. The data is clear. Exposure to pornography, especially at a young age, distorts emotional development, fuels unrealistic expectations, and drives wedges into relationships and families. And yet, in much of the West, this poison is protected under the banner of freedom. But freedom for whom? And at what cost? What Traoré understands, what the global elite refuses to admit, is that moral decay is not progress. That some battles are worth fighting. That African youth deserve better than to be raised by search engines and shadowy content algorithms. And here at Afrovision, we believe this is a turning point. Before we go deeper into this bold decision, we want to take a moment to thank our incredible subscribers and members. Your support allows us to tell Africa's stories with the pride, strength, and truth they deserve. You are the heartbeat of this movement. Let's keep building together. Now back to the story. This move by Burkina Faso is more than just policy. It's a cultural revolution. While other governments buckle under the weight of corporate lobbying and Silicon Valley influence, Traoré is doing something extraordinary. He's answering not to billionaires, but to his people. And the people? They're not protesting. They're praising. In Ouagadougou, you'll find more cheers than complaints. Women are calling it a breath of fresh air. Parents are saying it's a relief. Community leaders are declaring it a moment of national pride. Because for too long, African nations have been told they have no voice in shaping the digital future. That they must consume what is fed to them, no matter the damage. But not anymore. Not here. And let's get real. This is not just about adult content. This is about power. Digital power. Narrative power. Cultural power. For decades, the West has exported its content to the global South, unchecked, unfiltered, and often toxic. Our children are being raised in digital environments where sex is entertainment, violence is normal, and human intimacy is distorted into something transactional. And behind all this are billion-dollar companies collecting clicks, data, and money, without ever facing the consequences. Burkina Faso is calling that out. This isn't repression, it's resistance. It's the beginning of a digital liberation movement, one that reclaims the right to protect minds, spirits, and futures. And the effects are already visible. Internet cafes that were once flooded with explicit content seekers are now filled with job hunters, students, and entrepreneurs. Schools are integrating new programs on digital hygiene, self-worth, and emotional education. Families are reconnecting. Libraries are seeing a rise in foot traffic. Religious centers report increased participation. This is not regression, it's renaissance. And perhaps the most powerful part? The women of Burkina Faso are standing tall in support. Across neighborhoods and villages, women's forums are being held, where they speak openly, many for the first time, about the emotional toll of competing with digital fantasies, about the loneliness created by porn addiction in relationships, and about the loss of human connection. Now they are saying, no more. Mothers are relieved. Wives are hopeful. Daughters feel seen. Feminist scholars across the continent are calling this digital emancipation, because for the first time, a government is prioritizing real women over virtual fantasies. And it's happening in Africa. Traoré's leadership isn't just inspiring, it's contagious. There are reports that countries like Mali, Guinea, and Chad are now in discussions about forming a regional alliance to protect cultural and digital sovereignty. Imagine that, a Pan-African digital firewall built not to isolate, but to uplift, not to censor, but to empower. Meanwhile, Western media is, of course, crying foul. They call it authoritarian, draconian, a step backward. But these are the same outlets that turn a blind eye to porn-induced mental health crises, to rising rates of sexual dissatisfaction, to skyrocketing cases of child exposure and addiction. They say it's about freedom. We say it's about healing. And if that means building our own path, so be it. Let's talk numbers. Pornhub, the industry giant, was recently forced to remove over 10 million videos after global backlash over abusive content, including materials that exploited minors. These aren't just outliers. These are part of a pattern, a system of profit built on pain. And when countries like Burkina Faso say, "Not on our soil," it's not extremism, it's accountability. In Burkina Faso, over 60% of the population is under the age of 25. Traoré knows that these young people are the future, and they deserve more than to be mentally enslaved by corporations that don't know their names but want their attention. This ban is not just about what they can't see. It's about what they can become. And here's the beautiful twist. This decision is actually unlocking opportunity. By banning these exploitative platforms, the government is redirecting attention and resources toward African tech initiatives, e-learning platforms, digital agriculture, and local e-commerce. Youth are being empowered to build, not consume, to innovate, not imitate. Some critics say the ban hurts the economy. But what economy are they defending? The one that profits off addiction and depression? Or the one that builds schools, startups, and safe spaces? Burkina Faso isn't losing money. It's saving its soul. This is the kind of leadership the continent needs. Bold, visionary, protective, not reactive, but proactive. This is Africa showing the world that we don't have to wait for permission to lead. We don't need lectures from those who have normalized dysfunction. We don't need to follow a path designed to strip us of our identity and sell it back as entertainment. Captain Traoré is not just blocking websites. He's unlocking a new future, one where African nations define their own digital destinies, one where morality is not a weakness, but a strength, one where leadership is measured not by popularity in Western headlines, but by impact at home. To those watching from afar, Africa is no longer your testing ground. We are not your experiment, and we are certainly not your audience for decay. We are the authors of our future, and to our Chronicle Traoré family. If this story moved you, inspired you, or challenged your perspective, share it, speak about it, debate it, support it. Let the world know that a new Africa is rising, and it's not one to be tamed, diluted, or silenced. Subscribe to Chronicle Traoré for more unapologetically African stories, told with truth, fire, and purpose. And if you believe in our mission, consider becoming a member or dropping a super thanks. Every contribution helps us bring you the stories the mainstream tries to bury. We are not just reclaiming the past, we are reclaiming the future. And this time, Africa leads.